10,
9,
8, 7, 6, 5,
4.
3, 2, 1.
It feels good to be liked. So whether we realize it or not, we usually feel most comfortable with people like us, who talk like us, work like us, who look like us. But a lot of people like each other in one place creates places that are a lot alike. And too much likeness holds us back. We're more innovative, profitable, and well, just right the more unalike we are. Women Techmakers is working toward true gender equality in tech. And we need everyone in tech to help us reach this goal. Like Sabrina Farmer, who is sponsoring, not just mentoring women in her field. Brenda Jen, who is supporting women coders through Girl Development. And Meko Karake, who is working with his team to understand microaggressions. And we need you. Not just to join us, but to bring someone with you. To be one of millions more women to join the tech industry. Let's get together. Because when everyone in the workplace sees others like them, we can see that we all have a place in tech.
A hearty welcome to all of you here. Hope you are all safe and taking care of yourself. We welcome you to India's first ever online Women Techmakers International Women's Day Summit. We are so happy you're all here to join us live. I am Usha Ramani and I manage the Women Techmakers chapter from Visakhapatnam. I'm super excited to kickstart this session on leadership as it marks the first of a 4-day series. I want to start off by saying that everyone is welcome here, no matter your age, career, background. This event is a safe space for you.
Hello everyone, I'm Lakshya Shivram-Krishnan and I manage the Women Techmakers program for India. Women Techmakers is a community program to achieve gender equity in tech by supporting women to join, thrive, and lead in the technology industry. The last 3 weeks have been filled with excitement, nervousness, optimism, and hope for all of us. We've received over 4,400 registrations in just 12 days and are immensely gratified with all the love and support that we have been receiving from all of you. Our hearts go out to people around the world who have been affected by this global pandemic of COVID-19. Closer home, we have some people affected by Cyclone Amphan. May the force be with you all. The theme of today's event is Together We Rise. Together, let's celebrate the superwomen in our lives. Together, let's create a new narrative for the technology industry.
We have a great lineup of speakers who are amazing leaders from different domains. As the sessions progress, please share your questions in the chat section to the right of the screen. We will share these questions with the speakers who would answer them at the end of the day in Ask Me Anything session. Today's track is that of leadership. Leadership entails being passionate, decisive, fearless, and many a times assertive. But good leaders focus their energies on building relationships, listening more, and being sensitive to others' needs.
You can view the schedule, our tracks, the talks on our website goo.gle/WTM India-IWD20. We have made our best possible attempt to bring in some great leaders to talk about their own leadership journeys, some lessons for us to emulate and rise higher in this community together. Our keynote speaker for today is one such leader. I've met her a couple of times, and she has inspired me with her simplicity and humility. It's my privilege to welcome Gayatri Belapurkar, the Director of Engineering at Intuit. Let's all put our hands together for Gayatri. Over to you, Gayatri.
This off. And I hope all of you listening out there, your families and you are doing safe in this time and healthy. I am extremely thankful to Laksha and the Women Techmakers team for this wonderful privilege, for creating this platform for all of us to connect with all of you amazing folks out there, listen and learn. And personally, a huge honor for me to just start this off. My name is Gayatri Belapurkar, and I work for Intuit. I lead the engineering for identity platform within Intuit. I have over 20 years of experience in shipping code in this industry. A few weeks ago, when Lakshya and I talked about what should we cover when we discuss the keynote for something like Together We Rise, for me, the obvious choice was to talk about resilience and compassion, because to me, this seemed like the right thing to start with. And essentially, where we are talking about individuals growing stronger and together who are caring for each other so that we are all able to rise together, being the theme of the International Women's Day this year. So fundamentally, when I look at who am I, like I said, my day job is with Intuit. I am also a very copious daydreamer and a mom and a wife, techie. The circle I've shown essentially sums up all the epiphanies and the learnings I've had in the last 20 years. And what I'm about to sort of go through with all of you is some of my reflections in terms of the different muscles that I have trained over these years as I navigated my career. And the themes that I'm touching upon are quite personal, and these are reflections from learnings that I have personally gone through. And also, these are very common questions that I get when I mentor junior engineers, or even have peer discussions around how could we make each other's life better, or we're stuck, there's an obstacle. So typically the conversations are around these topics. So I thought this would be useful, and I hope you find them so. So in the next about 20 minutes, what I'm about to go through is just a few key muscle groups that I think we can focus on when we are talking about building resilience. And one of the most important muscles we all need to grow is the one of empathy and compassion. So first off, right, and this is like when we talk about our careers as a race, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? So often asked question is that I need to be here, I need to be in a certain position or a designation, or having accomplished something within a certain age, or when people have to take a break due to some personal circumstances, they're fretting over the pause, what it is going to do to their careers, why they are not where someone else is. So to that, the muscle you need to essentially focus on is that you are a marathon runner. And if you know marathon runners, they are very regimental and regular about their training. But at the same time, they're extremely patient about the run itself. So keep training, which essentially means that stay relevant, upskill yourself, keep up with innovations, try new things, That's essentially what's going to keep you relevant in a dynamic environment. But set goals for yourself that are in your pace, because this is your journey and it's unique to you. At the end of the day, it is about you becoming a better version is what matters. So your goals are your own, your journey is your own. So make sure that you're pacing your goals based on what you can do. And if you're pausing, it's okay, it's a pause, and you can unpause at some point. But the idea is, don't delay growth, which means that don't pause your learning, don't pause your training, because that's incredibly important for you to essentially stay relevant and add that value that you want to add in your career. When I said try new things, it's essentially to try things that make you uncomfortable. At any point, if you feel that you are feeling smug about where you are, then you're probably too comfortable. So make it a point to shift, try something new at that point. Being a beginner more than once, very often, in fact, is actually extremely healthy for humility and learning. So keep doing that. And again, it's a marathon, so pace yourself, hydrate, and keep going. You can't tell by sort of seeing me here because I'm sitting. But if you met me in person, you would know that I'm a very small person, and I also have a very soft voice. And yet I find myself often in large meetings, in conferences, in debates, where I have to make a point and I have to say something and I need to be heard, because I lose the opportunity if I don't, because I have something to say, as all of you do. So what do you do in such situations? Right? I've been in conferences where you're one amongst about 20 odd people who all have very strong points of view, and some of them are louder and are endowed with a much more dominating presence than I have. So I think the first step I have found useful is start with a muscle of I am awesome, right? You are going to start, and the fact that people want me here because they want to hear from me. I think that's the first, essentially the first voice that needs to go on in your head. And that essentially drives how you want the world to see you, which essentially also turns around into you have to create that point of view. What makes you valuable to participate in that discussion, in that debate, in that change, as a change agent, or as just a provocative thinker in that particular discussion? Why do you need to be there? So first, put your effort, work hard to make sure that you have the right point of view and you have framed that to be able to present that point of view. Secondly, don't let your own self-doubt get in the way of making that point, because that's the worst thing you can do to yourself. And a more practical advice that I received was one of the very senior leadership women told me this, that keep standing. And I practice that. I literally practice that. So if I'm not heard for once or twice, I stand up and I don't sit down till I'm fully heard. So that's an extremely effective tool. So you are bold, you are awesome, you have a point of view. So go there and make it. Because if you lose the opportunity to make it, it's your own. So don't have excuses for why you couldn't get up and speak, or why you couldn't interrupt someone just because they were louder than you. The third muscle essentially is a much broader one. And this comes from my observation of my own self. So I go through this many times, and I've seen this in many others, that we sort of oscillate. When we're not in the comfort zone, we are oscillating between two states. One is we are victims. We're children that people are depriving us of something, or we are martyrs who are giving up something. I think that's neither of that is going to help you in your career. Neither of that is glorified, because there is no glory in walking away if you want it. And nobody in your career owes you anything. You are essentially supposed to ask for it, not because you think you deserve it, but because you think you've earned it. So if you think you earned something, Be explicit, ask for it. Be it a job opportunity, a promotion, a new role, or an expanded scope. So anything that you think you have earned it and you want to do it, go and ask for it. And oftentimes it is like, maybe you could consider, no, I want this. I think I'm the right person to do this. I want this. So learn to say that. And when you get it, don't don't try to fill the shoes of who left behind, right? I've taken the I've had the unenvious position of having to take over leadership roles from extraordinary leaders, and what it has done to me is actually undermine me. I would sort of lie there awake, wondering what are all the nice things that a person did. Should I just, even mimic the way they present themselves in a large group, and essentially copy by calling that an inspiration? That essentially won't help. You are not renting that role; you are owning that role. So own it. If you're taking up a new project, if you're a lead designer for a new platform or a feature, that's yours. You own it. And the only person that you're essentially worried about at that point is, your customers whom you're delivering it to and your peers whom you're working with, right? So don't do it like someone else. Own it as yours, and don't overreach to behave and compensate to behave like someone else in that. Because when you do that, it fails because you get stressed out, and when you're stressed out, you end up behaving like yourself anyway. So don't go through that stress. When you get it, you own it like your own, and never be afraid to change it. Owning an outcome is what you own. It's not to retain and preserve how it was. So when somebody gives you a job to do and you are now responsible for it, then you are essentially the owner of the outcome. So don't be afraid to change it. If you have a point of view that needs to be changed for it to have a more effective outcome, please go and change it, because the biggest disservice that you can do to yourself is to be uncertain that whether that would fail, because you would have, even if you failed, which is they're very unlikely because you have a whole system with you going along. So even if you did, you fail like you. So the only thing you need to be clear about is the principles of why you want to change it. Obviously, you can't change it on a whim, but if you have the right reasons to change something to get better outcomes, go ahead and make that change, and don't stop because you think it would be the wrong thing to do. Tell everyone why you're doing it. Socialize that. Get feedback, but you own the outcome. So you have to take the stand on some of the bold decisions that you want to make. So essentially, this muscle is something that you start developing when you are a junior engineer working as a large part of a team, all the way up, and you continue to learn. And even today, I learned that. I've made changes and I've made transformational changes when I took on orgs, and the initial reaction is it's a catastrophe, and nobody likes it because nobody likes change. But you need to understand the incentives and figure out how to take everyone along with you, so that when you make this change, you are empowering most people who are essentially in the crux of bringing those outcomes, and you're not putting yourself in the front to make it a change that affects and makes it comfortable for you. So be very clear on the principles of why you want to change it, but change it anyway. This is a very, very easy one to say and an extremely hard one to do. There's so much of talk around growth mindset, and I think growth mindset is a trap sometimes, because once you get into it, you realize that it's extremely lonely in that journey of being able to face what you don't know and upskill. Tech and knowledge, we are all extremely comfortable with, because you always start from a place of, I don't know this and I'm getting better. Where you essentially will face more humility is when you're talking about your personal traits. So first off, start from the place of why you're here. Why are all of us here? We're all engineers. We're all folks who got to become engineers because we were curious. We wanted to learn how things worked. So continue to nurture that. Continue to nurture that curiosity and don't ever stop wondering why. Partner with others who can complement that. And also partner with people who are unlike you because they can ask the questions that you haven't been able to. So that's an incredible opportunity to grow because you're now going to see perspectives that you personally are unable to. It's a blind spot for you. So talk to people who can bring that to you. So expand. So like I think the video also talked about it. Don't hang around with people who are like an echo chamber for your ideas. Hang around with those who are where there is dissent. There's beautiful stuff that can happen. Peer reviews are extremely important to make things right in software. And peer feedback on a personal front with respect to your behavior is extremely important to help you grow. Take criticism very, very seriously. Don't try to avoid going into a downward spiral of making it personal. It is extremely personal. It is extremely hard when you hear truths from somebody where you are, where it's your own real nightmare and they're telling about that to you and you want to really fix that. That's hard to do, but you have a choice. You either, if there is truth in it and there is merit in it, you can work on it. If there isn't, just walk away from it. So from growth mindset is essentially trying to identify where you want to be and what will get you there, which it could be from a new muscle in terms of a soft skill that you're growing or a new tech that you're essentially learning to help you, master your craft to bring better value. So identify that and don't fret over the feedback because reverse it to see, okay, that's just somebody telling you what you need to do to get there and not something as a personal insult or a personal critique that you won't want to you don't want to hear. The next series of slides that I'm going to talk about are all through. So what we spoke about so far is your individual muscle. And what's next essentially is far more harder to grow because it actually involves empathy and being kind. And its relevance is, as you might all heard, that we essentially are, all of us are going through mindfulness and trainings to be empathetic and creating a more nurturing environment around us. It matters because a very viable and thriving environment creates wonderful outcomes. And to create a thriving environment, you really need to be mindful of each other and be able to understand that you are working with people and you need to be inclusive and get along. And this is not just about getting along, this is also about taking people along. 10 years ago, I used to be an individual contributor. I used to work as an architect and I did a lot of designs. I love technology and it was very black and white. Something works or it doesn't. But I just hate it when I had to collaborate because people slow you down. They have points of views, they have opinions, they have feelings, and I would get frustrated by that. And I told my then boss, and he was my mentor too, that can you just like make all of this go away? Like this whole process is broken down if I have to review everything with everybody and discuss with so many people. It's so inefficient, and I can't get anything done. And he said to me that you think you're in the business of tech, but you are in the business of people. And that stayed with me till date. And what it means is that if you are able to get a wonderful team on board your idea, you have multiplied the possibilities of what you can do. So always remember that you are in the business of people and taking people along and bringing in those high performing teams is what and bringing that culture of debates and reviews and a healthy helping out will essentially take us much further than we can go alone. People say dogs and children can tell when you are faking it. You can't fake interest with either one of them. So what does being genuine mean, right? What does being genuine mean? I often get this question that, hey, if I meet a leader in an elevator, how can I impress them? What is the one thing I can ask them? How do I make an impression? It's very simple, and at the same time, it's extremely hard because you can't fake that interest. You have to have taken interest in the first place. If you're meeting a leader, if you're meeting a team member, or you're meeting a partner that you're working very closely with anywhere, I think strike a conversation. Actually show interest in what they are doing. Show interest in what they want to do and how you can help them. Ask your boss or your boss's boss that what's top of mind for them, where you can be of help to them, and how you can make them successful. It's a lonely journey for all of us most of the time. So such reaching out is incredibly powerful, and it's also something that nobody would forget. So be genuine and be genuinely interested in a person and therefore what they are doing, and that would essentially make that impact and an imprint. So that would essentially help you connect with them, not now, but it would essentially turn it to a lasting relationship. And of course, be inclusive. Practice being inclusive when you're in every meeting. Be thoughtful about what you're saying, and also give opportunities to people who are in the room. Like you heard me say initially that, I have a soft voice and I always worry whether people will hear me. And I love meetings where the moderator of the meeting is making sure, or the host of the meeting is making sure that everybody's point is heard, and not just a few of them are speaking at all times. Hear from the quiet ones. Hear from those who are not saying yes to your point of view, and give a chance for everybody to speak and open up to you. Be it a most junior intern who's joined your company, or your SVP or your CTO whom you're trying to impress. I think the magic there is the same. You have to be interested. You have to be curious, and you have to be able to make them feel like you want to help them. I think that's essentially the one way you can surely get through. Often we go through this where we are always fretting that somebody's out to get you. You get a bad email. You get an email which is telling you to, hey, I need this by this time and this date, and you're responsible for it. Or you're asking for something and somebody says, no, I have no time to do that. And you think the universe is plotting against me, right? And I am the most important person and everybody is just out to get me. Always remember that you are the center of just your universe. And by that definition, you're the center of nobody else's universe. Everybody has their own center of which they are sitting in, which essentially translates to everybody has constraints and everybody has incentives. You need to understand constraints and incentives. And if you understand both of them, you're essentially able to strike a good relationship and a partnership with someone. I've done that so many times that when someone writes a nasty email, I'm itching to write back a nasty email because they're out to get me, and I am the most important person for me. But no, you were probably 1 in 100 people who reached out to them, and they were having a bad day. So, or it's not just their incentive to do it; it's not their priority to do it, and they're not going to do it. So understand where that no comes from, and also understand that you're not important to them; you're important to you. So start with that empathy, and start with unpacking incentives. Breathe, be mindful. I went to a mindfulness training. They talked about there is a moment between an action and a reaction, and you can stretch that moment. You get an angry Slack, you respond with an angry Slack. You get an angry Slack before a meeting, it's even worse because you drag the entire meeting, make it about that Slack you received when it had nothing to do with the meeting at all. So breathe. It's not about reacting, it's about thoughtfully responding. It's very similar to it's very related to the center of the universe analogy. You have to understand that it comes from a place of some constraint or incentive that you have not understood yet. So always pause and respond and spread that joy to everybody else. Put the phone and walk away if you have to. We have this culture of responding all the time, right? I get something, I would get a question at 11:30 at night, and I'm itching to respond. And I have to really hold myself back, and I have to really say, that's a downtime. Don't do that because you're going to upset somebody, and that's just going to go downhill. So remember that every time you're triggered to respond. And when people are responding to you with that trigger, you realize that you have probably triggered them. So have that conversation, pick up the phone, have that after taking a deep breath, have that conversation. It will make it better for both of you. Finally, none of us succeed because of our genius. We want to think it that way, but none of us do. It's because of a lot of people. It takes a village to get something done. I learned it from one leader very recently, and this was a launch party. We're launching something, phenomenal that was a groundbreaking effort, and the leader spent about 20 minutes giving credit to everyone but his team, everyone else who propped his team up to essentially bring that about, to bring that whole launch about. It was incredible because you always start with, oh, my team, and essentially what you're saying is it's all me and all of us, right? But there are so many people who help you. So remember to give and share credit, acknowledge it, and share your spotlight. And when you do that and when you give thanks, it goes a long way because what you've created and what that leader created is incredibly strong relationships with all the folks who helped out so that they would be motivated and they would be incentivized to help again. So say thanks and give thanks to others. And that's one of the most incredible things that you would be doing for them. And it always feels good to be spotlighted. So give that spotlight to somebody and give it often, give it more generously. It's not a zero-sum game. You will get the spotlight as much as they do. But when you do that, you have created an unspoken bond, or rather an unbroken bond that will last for a long time. So I know I'm probably out of time, but I've tried to say a lot of things in a short while, and I hope you were able to get some of that. The crux being, we're all here because we want to do something. We're all here because we have vivid imaginations that we want to bring to life. And my learning is everything you can imagine can become real. And this is two of my favorite quotes from my favorite book and author, and essentially summarizes what I believe is that we are powerful in who we are. We're awesome, and we've got here, and we all have the ability to realize every dream that we chase. And this is not a jungle gym. A career is not a jungle gym. It's not an obstacle course. Our journeys are all unique, and we're all here to enable each other. So let's all grow resiliently as individuals, but at the same time, always remember to be kind to yourself and to others. So with that, I hope you got some value out of this, and stay strong and be compassionate. Thank you. Over to you, Laksha.
Thank you, Gayatri. So well said. I was reminded of Sheryl Sandberg's Lenin. A true leader truly shares their laurels and absorbs the criticism. Practicing kindness and compassion at the workplace from top down can make so much of an impact in the company and outside it. Moving on, I'm reminded of a poster I saw recently. What do countries with the best coronavirus have in common? Well, turns out it's women leaders. Incredible, isn't it? But how do successful women do it all? Is there any secret sauce to their success? Before I hand it over to our next speaker, we have an interesting question for you. Let us know in the chat boxes as to which mindset you identify yourself with. Is it the victim mindset, waiting for things to change, blaming circumstances and others? Is it the frustration mindset where you're hopeful but don't know what to do? Is it the conventional mindset you're content but not aiming for more? Or is it the leadership mindset, taking ownership, self directed, aiming for growth? Get on. Get typing your responses on the chat. Handing it over to Payal, who will be speaking to us about how women lead and succeed. Over to you, Payal.
Thank you, Lakshaya. Thank you, everyone on the Women Tech Makers team. I am so excited to be with great minds out here today, not just for today, but even for our time later on. And, it is said that never underestimate the power of women who want to succeed. And I am here in this virtual room full of women who are determined to succeed. So let's go with something. Can we move on to a slide where I want all of you who are listening to me to type down, "I am an unstoppable leader." Can we have that banner? I am an unstoppable leader. Can I have all of you type that on your chat box? I am an unstoppable leader. Super. Friends, the reason I asked you to do this is because I believe, and you can see this belief of mine in all of my books, my resources online, everywhere. I believe that we are here in our jobs, in our business, not just to survive. We are here to thrive and succeed. And for you to thrive and succeed, you've got to develop one of the most imperative and yet highly neglected quality of leadership, the ability to be unstoppable. I just love all your responses that are coming, that I am an unstoppable leader. So, friends, let me just talk to you a little bit about this before I dive into this topic completely of how women lead and succeed. Many of you out here today may be telling to yourself, "Hey, Payal, you know what? I am not a leader. I don't have any teams. I don't lead anyone." Or maybe you may be thinking to yourself, "Okay, I've been in leadership roles for a very long time. Can you just tell me, Payal, how to succeed as a woman?" Well, in that case, my friends, I am all about leadership and success. In fact, 21 years of my life, my work has been committed to develop world-class leaders who can lead, who can reach uphill and achieve what they want to achieve in their life. And let me tell you something, my friends, all your goals, all your dreams, everything that you want to achieve in your professional life, it's uphill here. And for you to be uphill here, for you to climb up there with your dreams and your goals, you've got to develop a leadership mindset. In all my coaching, in all my working with people and speaking and doing these workshops, I've highly seen that nothing surpasses your leadership. Nothing. Your income, your role, your title, your designation, your dreams, your goals, nothing can surpass your leadership. So just as you have sent me those vibes, those positive vibes that I am an unstoppable leader, I want you all, my friends, to think about, as I begin to talk to you more about how women succeed, I want you to think about your goal. What's your ikigai? What's your dream? What's your goal in your career life? And just keep that to yourself. It's something I want you to reflect on, and just give me a yes in the chat box that you are a person who has some dreams and goals just like I do. Can I have those yeses in your chat box, my friends? Great. Just keep that yes coming on. You know, when you are when you are thinking about your goal and your dreams, uh, it reminds me of this story, and my entire session today is going to be around it. It reminds me of this group of frogs, 50 frogs, who decided that they want to reach to the top of this pillar that was standing in the center of the jungle. So they invited the animals of the jungle and they said, hey, look, we frogs are going to reach to the top there. So all these animals, they look at the frogs and they say, hey, come on, it's impossible. I mean, come on, look at us. We are such powerful animals, and even we would not attempt something like this. It's impossible for you. So these frogs, they are very determined. They said, we are going to reach to the top. So they move towards that pillar, and just then it begins to rain and thunder, making that pillar wet and slippery. So now all these animals, they try to reason out with these frogs. They said, hey, look, even nature is against you. Do not attempt anything where the nature is giving you a sign to stop. But these frogs, they are very determined. They said, we are going to reach to the top. So the race began. Now, some of these animals, just as they began, they slipped and they gave up. Some of these frogs, they went on climbing upwards, reached to a certain height on that pillar. And then as they looked up, it became scary with the thundering. And as they looked down, they heard all these animals telling them, hey, don't go any further. You will fall, you will die. It's not worth it. Come down. So they also came down. Slowly, all of the frogs, they gave up. They were on the ground. All these animals were making fun of them. Just then, one of these animals, he said, hey, look up. Your friend is going on climbing up. Stop him. He'll fall. He'll die. So all these animals, they gather around the pillar. They shout out loud, my friend, come down. It's not worth it. But this frog went on climbing upwards, reached to the top and said, wow, it's a beautiful view from here. And then when he came down, all these animals, they gathered around him. They said, hey, come on, tell us, how did you do it? How did you reach to the top when everyone else gave up? It was scary. It was thundering. Were you not afraid? So this frog, he looks at all these mouths moving. He lifts his ear, lifts his leg and puts it behind his ear and says, I don't know what you're saying. I am completely deaf. I can't hear anything. Now these animals, they are very curious. They said, hey, how is it possible? It was the same situation for everyone. Everyone else gave up. How did this frog reach to the top? So they go to this lion and they ask him, and the lion says, whatever you saw is what I saw. I don't know what answer to give you. So all these animals, they are quiet. And in that quietness, in that silence, the lion spoke again. He said, my friends, you are asking me the wrong question. The question is not how did this frog reach to the top? The question is, why only this frog reached to the top? And he said the answer to it is because until far off, this frog could not hear any of your voices, not even his own voice could stop him. That, my friends, is unstoppable. I want you to replace the characters of this story now. The frogs are each of you today who have joined in here with me. The pillar is that one goal that you desire to achieve. You have it inside of you. It's your career dream that you want to reach. And you know what? Each of us, my friends here, we know exactly where we are on that pillar of ours. Some of us have just started our career life. We are slipping and we feel like giving up. Some of us have moved upwards. We've reached a certain height, a certain designation, some role. We've accomplished some stuff. And when you look up there to exactly what your goal is, what your dream is, it looks scary. It looks, with all the corporate pressure, the business politics, the deadlines, the pressure, everything, the crisis that we are in. And when you look down, You remind yourself, this is where I came from. I don't want to fall back. So what do? You hold on tight to that pillar. At least your job is safe, your income is flowing, at least things are moving, at least you are in the game called career. And then after certain years, after some years, when you look up there, my friends, you ask yourself exactly that same question. Hey, how did that person reach up there? How did he or she reach up? She was behind. How did she reach up there? And what you don't realize, my friends, is that you were instrumental in helping that person reach to where they are right now. Because you were holding on so tight to that pillar, it became what we call your comfort zone. And you were so clinging to your comfort zone that you remain stuck. I have seen, numerous people. They have the abilities, they have the skills, they are stuck where they are for years together. The rain, the thunder is all the obstacles you, me, and each of us will face in our career life. There is no escape for any of us. The animals of the jungle. The animals of the jungle are everyone today who are around you, who tell you exactly what you can and what you cannot do. They are the ones who tell you exactly, they remind you of your worth and your value in the industry. And let me tell you, my friends, these are the same people who do not even know their own value in the industry, but they are willing to put a value on each of us. And most of us, what we do, we accept. That's why we settle. We feel this is exactly where we are supposed to stop. You operate with a victim's mindset, not a leadership mindset. I wanted to pay attention on some numbers, my friends. I said there were 50 frogs, 50. Each of them had made it a goal to reach to the top, and only one reached to the top. In reality, you all know the numbers. You, me, each of us know the numbers. How many people? There are 7.6 billion people on the planet Earth. 3.6 are in the workforce itself. You, me, and each of us know the numbers, my friends. How many people are reaching to the top? They are becoming exceptional leaders, exceptional business owners. They are changing their income, their destiny. They are reaching where they want to reach. And how many people are working hard, putting in the efforts, making sure they work on their credentials, and they are doing every day, everything it takes to daily put in the efforts, but the needle does not move significantly for them. They remain stuck, they remain average, they remain struggling. And by the time you leave your career life, you look back and you feel, I was here to do something. I was here to make a difference. What have I achieved? In reality, my friends, if you were to travel around, meet people like I do every single day, coach them, mentor them, speak to them, you would be saddened to see that in reality, despite the fact that we are in an age of technology, of information, of best resources, this gap between the exceptional and the successful few and the average and the struggling many exists, persists, and it's only increasing. It's time to close that gap, my friends, first for yourself and then for your organization and people around you. Let's do something. Can I have you all in your chat box give me a yes that I am ready to close that gap? Because my friends, this gap exists, persists in your life. It was in my life, and it is persisting in the lives of millions of women and men today. So let me hear it from all of you on that chat box. I close this gap for myself. And friends, the reason I'm asking you to do this is because I'm not a slides person. For me, your interaction, your problems, your goals is what takes the session ahead. When I hear from you, I know I am amongst like-minded people who are willing to move ahead with me. So let me hear that in the chat box. Super. So how do you close this gap? It's not going to happen by just typing in that I close this gap or giving me that yes, right? How do I close that gap? Let me take you to the next slide of mine. Now, in my working, coaching, and speaking with these A players, with top industrialists and CEOs and legendary leaders, I have come to understand, my friends, that these people these people go beyond hard work and skill sets and networking. They go beyond. They go root. They go inside. They focus on certain practices, rituals, and techniques which bring them towards their success. And though I have a very very limited time with all you wonderful people out here today, I wish I could have shared more and more stuff, but I definitely am going to share with you one such key element that is going to change your results immediately. And I can assure you, my friends, you practice this ritual. These are not very openly available on public domains. My interaction with them, I take these stuff from them and I deconstruct it in my books and in my audio tapes and in my online resources, and I share it with people with one aim, that you are here to thrive and succeed. It's your time to fulfill your dreams, and you've got to make sure that you leave your professional world feeling highly successful. So one of these practices, it's called take charge. Now, I'm going to do this very quickly. Very quickly, I'll share it with you, and then I will, we'll have a Q&A where I can help you to make sure that we can move ahead more with this. Take charge. This is one practice. You follow it every single day in your work life, my friends. I guarantee you the change in your results immediately. So what does take charge look like? Take charge of what? Now, what happens is, my friends, in the business world, in the corporate world, we are all tuned to take charge of our teams, of our budgets, of our careers, of our incomes, of our growth, of our relationships with our bosses, our colleagues, everything. But at the same time, these are all secondary. First and foremost, you've got to take charge of what I call your inner leader. Now, it's a concept I have introduced in the lives of people and in the lives of many corporates globally, and it has given them miraculous results super fast and with serenity and speed, like I always say. So take charge means that you as a person, you are not dependent on people and circumstances for your growth and progress. It means you have mastered the art to be highly effective, super productive, and deliver the best results regardless of your circumstances, regardless of the crisis, and regardless of the people who are around you. It means you are taking charge of your psychology, your physiology, your biochemistry, your actions, your focus, your energy, just everything that comprises of your inner leader. Let's make this really super simple for everyone to take it with them today and apply it in your everyday work life, my friends. Let me ask you something here. How many of you watch TV at home? Okay, just give me a yes, because I do watch, so I don't want to be the only one in the room, in front of that idiot box. So, how many of you watch TV at home? Okay. Let that yes keep coming, my friends. Super. Now, I want you to just imagine that you are watching TV. Okay, you are watching your favorite show, you are relaxed, you are enjoying your favorite show, and someone comes and snatches the remote and switches the channel. What do you feel like doing? If I can have answers, that would be great. And if no, it's fine. I understand we are too many in this room, but what do you feel like doing when someone comes and just snatches that remote and switches the channel? Okay. Okay. So with whatever you're thinking and whatever you're writing, in reality, many of you have written over here that, okay, I feel like snatching it back. I feel like taking it back. Sometimes I just get off mood when someone would snatch my remote. I feel like taking it back. I feel like I get angry. Think about it, my friends. In reality, most of us have given that remote to everyone around us, to our boss, to our environment, to our colleagues, to our society, to our family, to to our country, to the environment, to everyone around us to decide how how we are going to be operating, how we feel, what is it that we want. We have given that remote to everyone to decide how we are going to feel, happy or sad, successful or like a failure. Are we going to operate feeling guilt free or full of guilt? That charge is with someone else, my friends. And let me tell you something here, my friends. A players, leaders, and legendary people who you feel are climbing upwards, they never ever give the remote to anyone else, my friends. Never, because they know the consequences of giving giving the remote to someone else. Friends, most of us, we feel that work is very stressful. In reality, work is not stressful. Let me show you the next slide, which is something I really believe in. Let me go to the next slide for you. Work on its own is never stressful. It's our own inability to manage our inner leader that leads to stress. Think about it, my friends. Let me show you this cycle, the next slide. Let me show you the cycle in which 90% of the people operate, and the cycle in which A players never operate. Successful women, successful men, successful business owners, they operate in a different cycle. Think about it, what I said, my friends. When your remote is with someone else, how do you feel from inside? When your inner leader is disturbed for any reason, what type of energy do you bring to your workplace? What type of energy are you putting towards your goal, towards your projects? With the low energy, what type of actions and decisions do you feel like taking? Mediocre. With mediocre decisions, what types of results are you going to get? You're going to get poor results. And all those poor results, my friends, is what shapes you up. This is why today we are seeing people putting in maximum efforts but getting minimum results. People working hard every single day, but at the same time, their results are almost the same with just a little shift, not a massive shift. My friends, everything that you do depends on your inner leader. It depends on how you take charge. How A players keep that remote tight. They will never allow anyone to determine how they are going to feel and for how long they are going to operate in that state. Majority of the people I work with, they let someone else decide and control their circumstances, their goals, their dreams, their progress ahead. I would have loved to give you, numerous examples of real life incidences where I have actually seen people with the best of the skill sets, education, training, resources. They aren't being able to move up to where they want to go. That shows that there is something missing in our professional life, and that something missing is your own inner leader. The capacity of your inner leader to take charge and move ahead, my friends. Many of you may be thinking, okay, Payal, how will I know I have taken charge? How will I know I have taken charge? I'll share this formula with you. In fact, it's a formula that is coming up in my next book that is going to be released in a month's time. Let me move on to the next slide for you. And I highly recommend you take note of this, my friends. How do you know that you're in charge? It means the number of times you remain stable today upon divided by the number of incidences, both positive and negative. Because, my friends, it's not only the negative incidences that change your state of mind. It's the positive incidences too. Think about it. How many times has it happened? Your boss came and gave you a pat on your back, or someone, a client came and gave you this huge project and gave you this huge deal. And you're super happy, and you made extra promises, and you went ahead and delivered extra, and you promised something which you would have not in normal circumstances. So it means you are not in charge. Because if someone has the ability to make your mood like this, like bring it up or bring it down, it means your remote, your inner leader is being directed by someone else. And my friends, I want you to remember this lifelong. The more the remote, the more your inner leader is guided by outer circumstances and people, the more your results are going to be unstable. I always say in all of my resources and books, achieving success is no rocket science at all. You've just got to know the right technique and the right rituals that are being practiced around. And I feel so blessed to get, to be in this field of sharing all of this with awesome people like all of you. So I know we have a time crunch, and I would love to keep speaking to all of you, but I definitely want to leave you today with something to reflect on, my friends. Two questions. And think about it, once the session is over, just answer this to yourself. Who has your remote control? You know it. No one else can answer this for you except you, my friends. Who has it? Is it your boss, your colleagues, the circumstances, the crisis, the world crisis we are in today? Is it your parents, your society, the culture, the country? Who has your remote control? And when do you plan to take it back? Because, my friends, remember this, until you do not know how to take it back and until you do not decide to take it back, you are going to get the same results. You are going to shift, you're going to move a little upward, but your dreams and your goals are up here. Everything that you desire is uphill. I will again stress that point, my friends. Make sure you develop that leadership mindset that can help you to move upward and reach to where you want to reach. In conclusion, my friends, putting it all together, I would really say that you, me, each of us, we have a very limited time in our professional life. None of us are here to stay forever. But while you are here, before you empty that platform for someone else, while you are here, you've got to stop putting your hands out for everything. You've got to, you've got to stop thinking with a victim mindset. You've got to develop that leadership mindset. And in this journey, if I can be of any help, if I can be of any value, you can definitely connect with me. On my next slide, I'll give you where all you can connect with me. And I am a person who loves to connect wherever I am, wherever I travel. So stay connected with me. It's there coming up on my next slide. Varsha, can we have the next slide? Okay. So, like I said, I love to be connected with people. If you can just put me a single line that this is through the Women Tech Makers, I will make sure to accept the connection, because of the hundreds of connections we get every day. It's highly impossible for me to accept. But if you can just put this line that you heard me at Women Tech Makers, I would love to connect with you. And if any of you want to delve deeper into what I said today, after speaking with Lakshya today, last week, I put out a workbook for all of you, a game changer workbook. You can take a screenshot of this slide, as they say, and it is at payalanjani.com/webinar. You can go ahead, download the workbook. It's at no cost. It's all about what I spoke today, but it will give you complete it will give you a complete structure, a complete framework for you to fill in and see where you stand in your work life, my friends. So go ahead, download it. If you have any issues, Lakshya is here, I am here, and wishing you loads of success. Thank you so much to all you lovely people for being here with me, for your time, and thank you to the Women Tech Makers entire group and team for organizing this wonderful event. Thank you. Loads of success to all of you. I'll be back with all of you for your questions. Thank you. Bye-bye. Love you all.
Payal, I cannot thank you enough for that inspiration. We saw chats blowing up with all the vibrance from our lovely audience. Thank you so much for inspiring us to be unstoppable leaders. I'm sure your lessons of leadership mindset will help many of us go a long way. And to our lovely audience, just to remind you, please ensure to ask your questions on the chat section and we'll come back with the speakers and have your questions answered at 4:30 p.m. today. One of the things that we miss out in an online event is often the icebreakers. We've tried to put some fun together for you in amidst all the sessions that we have from some amazing speakers. So welcoming our friends Divya from Women Techmakers Coimbatore and Supriya from Women Techmakers Hubli to take us through the icebreaker session. Over to you, Divya and Supriya.
Hi everyone, how's it going? I, for one, am so excited to be a part of IWD Celebration 2020. And on that note, I welcome you to an icebreaker session. Great. So I guess introductions are in order. My name is Supriya. I am a WTM ambassador and also a GTG organizer of Hubli. Also, I work as a software engineer at Sun. Here with me today is Divya, and we both are going to host a session for you. So I'm sure all of you are ready to have some fun and unwind. Over to you, Divya.
Hey everyone, hope you're doing good besides the COVID 19. So, I'm Divya Krishna, Ambassador of Women Techmakers Coimbatore and co organizer of GDG Coimbatore. So, I work as a Senior Content Executive at Wakil Search. So, people, we are going to entertain you by having a very fun and interesting game session. So, let me introduce you to this game. I'll be asking a few would you rather questions, and each question will have two options wherein you will have to pick either one and comment your choice in the chat window. So, I think it will be so much fun for us to know what each other thinks, even though we are not in an offline setting. So, without any further ado, let's begin. Supriya, are you ready and excited?
Oh, yes, I for sure am.
Okay, so let's dive into our first question. My first question to you all is, would you rather work from home or work from office? So let's see the chat box flooding. Yeah, and the meantime, Supriya, please tell me which one do you prefer? Work from home or work from office?
Well, I would rather work from office because I am an extrovert who likes hanging around people, talking to people. Yeah, so that would be my choice. Awesome.
Okay. Uh,
Hi, Suhas. Thank you for your opinion. Neha says work from home. Bhumika says work from office. High five. Awesome. Ria also says work from office.
I think you guys have the same wavelength.
Divya, what would you choose?
Well, probably work from office because I'm really bored being at home.
Yeah, happens. So nice to hear from you guys. And I'm very sure you're ready for your next question. So here we go.
Yeah.
So, would you rather be a person who specializes in one thing and be known for it, or be a jack of all but king of none?
Okay, so I would love to keep my learnings in a very broader way. So I prefer to choose Jack of all but Queen of none. Yeah,
Awesome. Well, even I have the same opinion.
great.
Let's see what others think.
Here, Vasha,
Hi,
Jack of
Varsha.
all. Okay.
Jack of all. Nice. Well, Neha says specialize in one thing. That is good too.
Uday, Tanya. Oh, Jack of all. Oh, high five, people. Okay, so Supriya, shall we move on to the next question?
Of course, sure.
Okay, so would you rather read minds or be able to see the future?
Well, before I answer, I would like to see some views out there while I think, because this is very tricky for me.
Definitely, yeah, I agree. Both.
Nikita, both
Oh,
is not an option that you have. You'll have to choose any one. So while that goes on, I have always had this dream ki if someone comes and asks me what would be your mutant power, I would always go for read minds. So yeah, that is my answer.
great. Shilpa, read minds. I
Wow,
think there are
awesome.
so many
So many of
people.
you want to read minds.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, Supriya, let's see what do you have for me.
Yes. So loving the energy, guys. So nice to see all of you giving your opinions on so many topics, and I feel like I'm friends with some of you. Yeah, I can read minds, maybe. So the next question is, would you rather be the first person to explore a planet or be the inventor of a drug that cures a deadly disease?
Well, I think I would prefer to be the inventor of a drug that cures a deadly disease because, most importantly, I think being the inventor of the drug that cures a deadly disease is must required, especially in this COVID-19 season. So, besides that, on a lighter note, I will be appreciated and recognized all over the world for putting an end to this pandemic. Yeah,
Awesome. So nice.
inventor of a drug, Bharati. Great.
Great.
Okay.
Soumya says inventor of surgery. Shubhangi also tells inventors. So nice to hear from you.
Such great
Well, on
energy.
your
Okay.
front, since no one is picking, I would choose Planet Explorer. Hi Prachi, hi Fi, so nice. We both connect.
Great.
But Vishal
Okay.
says both are dangerous. Nice.
Great. Okay. So ready for the next question, friends? Okay, here we go. Would you rather have an easy job but working for someone else or work so hard but for yourself?
Well,
Which one do
again, I
you
would
pick?
love to hear from all of you before we give our opinions. Come on, guys, tell us what you feel.
I'm very excited.
Well, I will leap here and answer the question. So, I would rather work for someone else because that is what I'm doing now currently. So, yeah, I would like to have the easier job of working for someone else than work hard for myself.
Great. Okay, work hard but for myself. Okay. Neha, work hard for
Hi,
yourself.
Arshia. So nice to see your reply. Hi, Samir.
I think there is a combination of both the options. I think.
Of course, yeah. Well, that is the whole point of this game. You'll have to have a mixed crowd, and I think this
Yeah.
is a great opportunity to have that. Awesome. So
Okay.
let's move on. Your next question is: would you rather be in an era where technology was not invented, or where there is futuristic technology?
Um, okay, so I prefer to live in the era where there's no technology because I know most of us have started thinking in the digital well-being. So at least I would love to live in a world without any technology for at least one day.
Awesome. That is such a nice thought, to just pause from everything and take a break. Yeah,
True,
that would
true.
be.
Come on, people, tell us more by participating in the comment section.
Hi, Nishita. Futuristic tech. Wow, I share the opinion too.
Oh, where technology is not invented. Okay.
Wow, so many amazing answers from all of you. Well, I feel like we are in one room and all of us are together, like having fun, asking questions to each other. This is so nice. Great.
Great answers. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next question.
Sure.
Nice. Your turn, Divya.
Okay, so are you a Python person or a Java person, Supriya?
Well, for one, I think this question will have a very varied answer because there are a lot of people who work on Java and Python. But if I am to choose for myself, I would choose Python because I have never connected with Java really. So yeah,
Okay, so let's see what our friends are gonna tell us. Okay, Python. Python.
uh,
Oh, Java. There's
many
one person who tells Java. Great.
awesome. There are so many
Uh,
Pythons and also a combination. Like I said, I can see a lot of
yeah,
Java responses as well.
true.
Great, awesome job. So we are almost ending, and there are only a few questions left. So buck up, guys. We would love to hear from all of you. So here is the next question.
Here we go,
Would
Supriya.
you rather
What do you
have
have for me?
would you rather have a lifelong subscription of coding and technology related applications or Netflix and Hotstar?
That's a good one, Supriya. Okay, so since writing is my profession, I would choose to have free subscription of Netflix and Hotstar. I mean, who doesn't love to have free subscription of Netflix and Hotstar?
Cool. Hi Varsha, coding is love, of course.
Tough question. Yeah, it is
Awesome.
good.
Both
Not
good.
that's tough.
Well, tough to choose. I know we had the same time like coming up with questions so that it'll be tough for you to choose.
Yeah.
So many. I see coding. I see coding. Nice. Great.
Okay, Supriya, diving on to the next question. So, would you rather first check your email every morning or check your social networks every morning?
This is a little tricky, but I lean mostly towards the social network group of people, and I would love, like when I wake up in the morning, I would love to just scroll around, check WhatsApp, Instagram to see what's going on out there and what my friends are doing. So I actually do that. I check social networks every morning.
Great. High five, Supriya.
Wow, I see so many people saying email. That
Email,
is
emails, always emails. Oh God, yeah.
so many
Honestly,
guys
social
saying email.
networks. What's up?
Nihala, nice to see.
What's up? Because of online classes.
WhatsApp.
Oh, poor.
Nice.
Okay.
So good. Loving your energy, guys. So nice. We have such a nice audience, and to connect online like this is just boosts up in us our energy. So moving on, here is another question we have for you. Would you rather have unlimited free but slow internet or paid limited internet?
Well, definitely paid but limited internet. Who really needs a slow internet though it's free or unlimited? It's the most irritating part to have. Limited but fast internet, it's far better.
Correct. I share the same opinion too. Paid but
I,
fast internet.
I think
You get
everyone else has the same thing.
and all of that. That's great.
Yeah. Let's check
Let's
out. I
see
think
comments. Paid limited internet. Hi Bharti. Hi Seema. Paid but limited internet. Nice.
limited and free.
Well, Real says unlimited and free. Well, that's a nice variation. Cool. Awesome. Great. Let us move on to our next question. Well, this is the last question we have for this session. So I hope all of you jump into the chat box and participate with us.
Okay, so before winding up, Supriya, I would like to ask the last question. So, would you rather have infinite battery for your mobile phone or infinite fuel for your car? Which one do you prefer? I know it's a very tricky one.
Well, current scenario, I don't drive a car. So yeah, infinite cell phone battery would be the best.
Okay. So
But
let's see what
this
the friends
question
are
is
saying.
really tricky. I'm really interested to know what everyone out there has to tell.
Fuel for car, Vidya.
Nice. Awesome.
Great. Amazing.
Well, such we are like overwhelmed with the responses, and I'm sure all of you guys would have had fun. And we know we sure did hosting this session for you. And let us keep this energy throughout the 4 days of IWD. And well, believe me when I say it is going to be a lot of fun and interesting. So on this note, I would like to pass on to you, Divya.
Yeah, we really enjoyed the show. We really enjoyed the show. And I hope you guys had so much fun, but not knowing which one to pick. I think a few of them were a little tricky. Yeah. Interesting sessions are awaiting. Stay home, stay safe. See you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
A big thank you, Supriya and Divya. The chats are literally blowing up. Such phenomenal energy. Very interesting questions there. You surely have broken a lot of ice. Moving on to the next session, irrespective of where we are in our career path, having a brand for ourselves is the need of the hour. From the time we are asked, tell me about yourself, to the time we have to establish ourselves as the expert for that top position. Time and again, we are concerned of having spoken too much or too little. How do we tell a story that inspires people, that helps them relate to us, that motivates them to give us a chance or hire us or buy from us? Buy from us. Our next speaker today is Saunya Khurana, the founder of Win Studio. An IMA alumnus, Saunya will talk about the importance of owning your brand and narrative. Over to you, Saunya.
For that, uh, let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Great. So, yes, there is so much noise, there is so much chaos, there's so much content. Okay, so again, welcoming all of you. I've been enjoying this energy. The past two speakers and the whole energy in the chat box is so amazing, so thrilling. I've been thriving on this energy, and I see everybody else has been too. So, a very happy afternoon to begin with. And let me first ask you, since we're talking about narratives and talking about owning our narratives, what do you see right now? When you go to your social media feeds, when you go in your professional spaces, what is it that you see? Everybody is trying to do what? Everybody is trying to get a share of your attention. It is the attention economy. And what must you do to rise above the noise, to rise above the chaos and so much cluttered content? What is it that you can do to be seen, to be heard? Do we all want to be seen and want to be heard? That is the first question I have. I want a big yes, many yeses, if you want to be seen and heard. So, I understand that yes, everybody wants to be seen and heard. I can see that energy. And now tell me something. Uh, has anybody seen this guy that I'm about to show you on my next slide. Um, has anybody seen the movie Muppets? And does anybody know this guy? Anybody who knows who this guy is? Kermit the Frog. And if you would know, there's a song that he says, there's a song that comes in the Rainbow finale, in the Rainbow Connection finale, which goes something like this. Don't mind my bad singing, but it is something like this. Life is like a movie, write your own ending, keep believing, keep pretending. Isn't that what each of our lives is about? It is like a movie. But do we treat it like one? Do we create our own endings, or do we let others create our endings and write our narratives? The question I have for you is right now, do you own the narrative? Tell me a yes or no. Do you own the narrative? I believe a lot of you do. And some of you are still trying to grab hold of why do I even need a narrative? We will talk about it, but let's go ahead from here. So, if you see, there is this constant voice in the head. What is this voice in the head? Even right now, as I speak to you, as I do this presentation, what do you think this presentation is? Is it a monologue or is it a dialogue? Write in the chat box, let me know what do you think it is. Is a presentation that I'm doing right now with you a monologue or a dialogue? Well, some of you may say it is a monologue because I'm presenting and there's no way you're communicating with me. But what if I tell you it is a dialogue? There's a voice in the head that is constantly going to tell you while I share what I share that, oh, yeah, that's interesting. Yes, I connect. Really? Ah, what is she saying? And whatnot. There'll be something going on at every point in time, at every minute, at every second, every time you're sitting in front with somebody, whether or not you speak, whether or not there's a visible dialogue, you will be constantly in a state of dialogue because you're responding, you're reacting. And what does that voice tell you right now? How are you feeling about this presentation, about this dialogue that we're doing? What do you feel is it going to be about? What does it make you feel? Does this dialogue, does this presentation make you feel that this is going to be an empowering conversation, an empowering dialogue? Or does it make you feel, no, I mean, let's see how it goes. I'll be a part of the ride and then see that what it is. I'll judge for it later. But let me tell you something, or rather ask you again. What does it tell you about you? What does that voice in the head constantly tell you about you? Are you constantly doubting yourself? Or if I have to ask you in a better way, do you doubt yourself? If I was to give you four options constantly, sometimes, many times, never, what would you choose? Do you doubt yourself? Are you doing that constantly? Are you doing that many times? Or are you doing it sometimes? Or are you never doing it? I want to hear from you. What do you think? Because what our voice in the head does to us is what decides what our narrative is about. Do we own the narrative or do other people own the narrative for us? Is a lot about what your voice in the head tells you. Before I get on to the next slide and talk about my story, I want to hear from you. What do you feel? Are you constantly berating yourself, judging yourself, criticizing yourself, judging every thought, action, movement, every emotion that you find in yourself, be it in your personal lives, be it at your workplace? What are you constantly doing? Are you your best cheerleader or are you your worst critique? So Erin says, yes, I always doubt myself, but I have a voice that tells me to keep moving forward. That's beautiful, Erin. That's beautiful. And yes, a lot of you do doubt yourself sometimes or judging yourself always. But why? Why do we do that? Where does that come from? Tanvi says, no, she's constantly pushing herself. Amazing, Tanvi. So, again, let me ask you one more question. What stops you from being your best cheerleader? What is it that is telling you that you're not enough, that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, that you're not quick enough, you're not fast enough? The not enoughness comes from where? A lot is to do with the people that we surround ourselves with, because proximity is power. But why are we our best cheerleaders versus our worst critiques? Amazing, Vidya, that you are your best cheerleader. That is what we all need to be able to own our narratives. Coming to where, coming to another context, building another context here now, is about what I have on the next slide for you guys. Failed. What does that word make you feel like? What is it when you see this word glaring in the red, big, bold letters? What does this word make you feel? Have you ever experienced failure? Have you ever in your life experienced that you couldn't do enough, that you failed, that you could have done better? And that's where you started judging yourself, you started criticizing yourself, you started telling yourself that I'm not good enough. Where did your not good enoughness come from? I'll tell you what, for those who say, Neha says she's never tasted failure, I'll tell you what, we've all tasted failure. The first time we tasted failure was when we were toddlers who were trying to learn to walk. We tried to stand up, we fell. We tried to stand up again, take another step, we fell. We injured ourselves, we bruised our knees, we had pain. But of course, what happened? We continued walking, we took another step, and there we were, standing tall. We learned to walk. But we failed. But we did fail. But nobody at that point in time told us that you shouldn't fail from walking. You shouldn't fall. It's a bad thing. Nobody told us ever that you're not good enough just because we fell, just because we bruised ourselves. Our parents, in fact, came cheering us. They were our cheerleaders. They were our squad that was empowering us. Let me take you to my own story. Of course, we failed. The first time I failed that I remember was, of course, as a kid who tried to walk but couldn't and fell many times before I started walking. But the most bizarre, most worrying memory of failure for me was when I was in sixth standard. As a kid who was in class six, a 10, 11-year-old kid who failed miserably in her maths. So miserably, I scored what? A 13 out of 100? And I didn't know what to do next. The only thing that I could think of was not going back home. I decided that I will not go back home. The only thought that occurred to me was that, uh, I failed so miserably. I cannot show myself up to my parents because failure is a taboo and there's not much grace, not much forgiveness when it comes to failure. And I feared going back home. I feared it so much that the worst thing that could occur to me at that point in time was to jump out of the fifth floor of my building, of the school building. That was the top floor, I believe. Well, yes, a teacher saw me and pushed me back home. The buses had dispersed. There wasn't anybody. And I managed to reach home, did not show my results. And when my parents did get to know about it, what was next? They decided I will be doing my sixth grade again. Funny enough, like every other parent, somewhere they decide that my child is the best. My mom thought that there's probably nothing wrong with my little girl, but maybe something's wrong in her stars. So the funny incident that now I connect back to failure is that failure for me led me to change my name, led my mom to change my name. So what was Sonal turned to Sonia the next time I did my sixth grade. Failure can also lead you to change names. Funny enough, but yes, what did that do to my school life? I turned to be a shy kid. I disconnected. I really did not enjoy my school life because somewhere the thought was that I failed. I took it as a noun, then a verb. I started feeling that I am not worthy of good things. I'm not worthy of the best things that I can or deserve the best things. I started telling myself without being aware of it that I'm not good enough. And that's what my story of failure, first failure was. What was the second story of failure for me? I grew up, college happened, I started my job. The jobs went fairly well, though I always started because the belief was that I'm not good enough. What was the constant belief that I started telling myself, despite getting all the laurels? My first job gave me so much appreciation of all my work that I did. The first job that came to me was one of the best placements from my campus. Yet I felt that things are coming to me way too easy. I don't deserve them. It's just happening to me. My second job came again because I networked very well with my people, with my clients. The second job too happened. But yet, the feeling that I had within me was that I am not good enough. I don't deserve this. It has just landed. It just came in. It is just a gift. Maybe I don't deserve it. And then again, there was a startup that I did, my first startup back in 2015, Karigar Connect. I gave up way too soon. I couldn't persevere. I felt that maybe I cannot do it. Maybe it's not meant for me. Maybe it isn't something that will come my way with too much greatness. Maybe I cannot scale it. All those maybes, where did they come from? The fact that I told myself that I am not good enough and that I'll fail. Last year, incidentally, I failed again. I failed in saving a friend's life. A friend who had reached out to me was not in the best of shapes. I couldn't reach out to him in the right time, and I failed in saving his life. What does that make me feel? What was I doing? I was constantly judging myself. I was constantly telling myself that I'm not good enough. I cannot do this good enough. I was constantly being my worst critique. Did that help me? Does that help you? Does that help any of you when you're judging yourself, when you're criticizing yourself, when you're telling yourself that you're not good enough? It doesn't help anybody. And that's where my mentors, my proximity, the people I connected myself with, ensured that I am the best version of myself, that I'm the best cheerleader for myself. And that's the reason I say, thank God I failed. How many times would you say, thank God I failed? How many times would you say that it's all right? I'll still cheer myself up. It's okay. I'm not a failure. It's just an event that happened in my life. It's all right. Move on. How many times would you push yourself out of the comfort zone? What is the voice in your head telling you right now? I would love to hear that from you in the chat box, in the comments. What is it that you're feeling right now? What is that voice in your head telling you right now? Are you good enough? Because if you are good enough, if that is the feeling that you're ingraining in yourself, if that is the brain tattoo that you're giving to yourself, is when we will move on to the next slide and talk about what's next. What can you do? Have you guys heard of Brené Brown? She's one of the most famous. She's the most famous TED Talks, which has also been converted into a Netflix movie. She's an author, and she talks about one of my favorite quotes from Theodore Roosevelt, which is what I want to talk about next. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of the deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And that was the valiant call of a leader who talked about the man who's actually in the arena. Does it really matter who tells you what? Does it really matter what people judge you for? Why would you constantly tell yourself, what is it that people are talking about me, when you are the man in the arena and not them? You are the one who's marred by dust and sweat and blood. I would highly recommend that you guys ensure that you watch the Brené Brown documentary and the TED Talk if you yet haven't. That is one woman who inspires me like none other. What does what is it that you, as the man who's actually in the arena, feel like at that moment? It is just about you. It is not about the people you surround yourself with who are telling you that you're not good enough. Surround yourself with people who tell you that we're there. But at the same time, believe in yourself. Believe in your own actions, in your own thoughts, in your own emotions. So, one thing that I love is about this picture, the picture that you see right now, is of this little boy who's wearing a cape, who's a hero for himself, who's inspired by another hero. I have a question. Why do heroes always wear a cape? Does anybody have an answer for me there? Why do heroes always wear a cape? Jazila, it's all right. You have your entrance engineering result not eligible for engineering. It's all right. The world is out there open for you. There's so many things that you could do. PB Dwaram failure is something which always my father says, you got another best chance to unlearn and relearn. Golden nuggets. I don't know, why am I even doing this talk? Why am I even presenting? Why am I even in this dialogue? You guys know it all. You're an amazing audience. Rajuta says, thank you so much for providing such an elegant answer. Okay, I don't know if there's an answer that I provided, but yes, Neha, they want to fly and be visible. About the heroes, yes, absolutely. What else? It gives you wings. Absolutely, Rachna. This is their standard uniform, a cape. I will answer that, Susan. Why the cape? I'll answer that. Pooja, if I surround myself with people who are always telling me that I'm good, will that not make my growth stagnant? I feel we should have a mixture of both kinds of people. Pooja, yes. However, just to answer that, you need to know, you need to be able to discern the right people who are giving you the feedback, even if they are giving you feedback, but for your growth. There will be people who will be pulling you down, who will be toxic. You need to stay away. You need to be ruthless. Because if you're not, you don't know what when will it lead you into a downward spiral. I've felt that. I've been there, I've done that. Being an empath, I know I end up attracting people who end up being energy vampires, and the kind of downward spiral it leads me to is not worth the time, is really not worth the time. Coming back to the heroes, yes, to reach everyone, to help others, they need to fly, they have a cape. Let me answer why heroes wear a cape. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for what is about to come? Give me a big yes. Give me a big yes, what is about to come. The cape is a metaphor for carrying responsibility on your shoulder, Divya. That's true. That's true. That's very true. It is. What else? To fly high. Yes, that's right. And this is what, this is, there's a reason why heroes wear a cape. That's my analogy, you may say, but let's just explore what it is. They're consistent, they're authentic, they're passionate and purpose driven, and they're empathetic. These are the four things that every hero that you would ever know would be doing. And that's my own acronym. That's what I have created. That's what my observation is. You may differ. You may choose to differ, but if you would look at any hero's journey, these are the four things that they always do. Have you ever seen a hero who does not have these qualities? If you were to grab hold of your own narrative, if you were to ensure that people know you for what you really are, this is what you need to do. You need to be consistent in your efforts. You need to be consistent not only in your efforts, but ensure that your efforts, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions are aligned and consistent. That you're authentic, that you're not wearing a mask, you're being you, you're passionate and purpose driven. Because without that, of course, whatever we may do will be just a hogwash. It will be like a done cake covered with icing. Is that what we want to be? If you're not authentic and if you're not passionate and purpose driven, empathetic, if we do not be considerate, if we are not considerate of people around us, of our environment, of people in our workspace, how do you think would you actually be able to survive and thrive? It is easy to be self centered. It is easy, very easy to be selfish. But if you're not empathetic, if you're not considerate, you won't last too long in the arena. Coming to some comments, of course, do share what you feel about the qualities of a hero and what is stopping you from being the hero in your own life, professional and personal. Akansha says a senior manager copied my innovative idea and presented to the client. What I did, I made a POC before his team would make it and showcased. That's amazing, Akansha. Yes, we need to take charge. We need to ensure that we take charge and not be thrown to the ground. We can talk about it, Akansha. We can talk of it offline. We can answer that question. Moving on to the next one. Akhila says that I got rejected from an internship test, but I worked upon myself and now I have a better opportunity. Amazing. You know, the fact that we don't give up, we don't give in. I admire all of you people who are ensuring that you take charge of your narrative. Srikant, yes, laziness is the biggest enemy. There is no denial to that. Hero is always selfless. I wouldn't say they're always selfless, and there's nothing wrong with being self centered. But you can be self centered, yet be empathetic and considerate of the people around you. Heroes generally end up having a good, if you talk about the various movies, the super. But unless you're empathetic, unless you're considerate, you would not garner too much respect and you would not last too long. Shrishti says, I have people encouraging me, and when I really have a problem, I often find no one to turn to. How to overcome that feeling? Shrishti, what is stopping you? How would they know that you have a problem and that you're wanting to approach? You need to have. So, for me, if I was to talk about myself, I have my 3 or 4 go to people when I know that I am a little, not centered. My energies are not centered. I'm feeling off the hook. I need to speak. One, of course, I'm authentic. I ensure that I acknowledge what I'm feeling. I do not create a hogwash or try to ignore it. I ensure I address it because a lot of times we try to ignore it. We try to become that ostrich who hides its head in the ground, thinking that that problem does not exist, but that problem is still looming large. So address what you feel, acknowledge it, be it a journal that you write it in, be it a blog post, there has to be a way of acknowledging and letting your emotion flow through. Because if you don't do that, you're doing an injustice to yourself and you don't want to live a life which is not great enough, which is leading you to a downward spiral. Create an inner circle of at least 3 or 4 people or 5 people who are your go-to people. A mentor who you can go to when it comes to your professional advisors, a person who you can speak to when it comes to your personal life. A lot of times, most of our problems are solved just by somebody listening to us because we feel lighthearted, we feel that we've been heard. So ensure that you have people who will hear you out, even if they may not be in a position to guide you or and one more thing, be very careful that you do not surround yourself with yes people who are always telling you that you're right, even if you are taking a wrong call. Sometimes when I say surround yourself with the right people, yes, one of you also said that always having people who always say good things about you can be a wrong thing. As long as people are genuine, as long as people you surround yourself with are the right people who are actually interested and invested in your growth, you are good to go. So Kodru says, what to do when you want to learn but you don't have the right resources? Kodru, what do you mean when you say the right resources? Is it the people? Is it what is it that is the resources when it comes to what the challenge is? Do share that. Neha says, as being a working woman, how can I address people who constantly keep on criticizing as is work more important than family? Okay, how can I address people who constantly keep on criticizing as is work more important than family? Okay, so Neha, of course, you need to, if you have a family, you do need to strike a balance, but you do need to speak to them and let them know how passionate you are about what you're doing, and that it makes you happy, it makes you genuinely happy. And when you are with them, ensure that you give them the right energy, the right love. So when I say balance, it does not mean that okay, 9 to 5 and uske baad just cut off yourself, but ensure wherever you are, you're spending your time mindfully, you're completely into that. If it is work, if you love doing what you're doing and you're passionate, there is no reason your family will have a problem with it if they see that you're happy and you're coming back home happy and spending your time in a very cheerful, in a very nice way. There will be, of course, ups and downs, but as long as you're invested in your work with all your heart, mind, and soul, and in your family with as much passion, then it is it is not easy. It does not come easy to be able to merge both, but that conversation can be had at ease. Rujuta asks me, how do you stand out in a crowd yet be approachable enough to everyone? Um, so the way to stand out in the crowd, if I have to now come to the next slide, because of course we'll be running out of time, or we are already running out of time, I believe. Um, so let me first come to the next slide, and then we talk about how do you stand out, Rujuta. So make some noise, but I would say make a lot of noise. There is what I call leadership V to U model. You ensure you create value, you ensure you create visibility, and you ensure you do you. So, what is leadership V to U? When I say make some noise and I say make a lot of noise, Rujuta, ensure that you are creating a lot of noise that people cannot ignore you. So much noise that people just cannot afford to miss out on you. There are so many platforms that we can now be seen in. As a person who's working in an organization, you can start taking leads and initiatives where you're volunteering to maybe create a community within your organization, or doing programs or projects which are outside of your comfort zone, where you learn and where you take charge that why not do this. You create value by volunteering and doing a lot of initiatives, creating a community. You ensure there's you create your own visibility, create a lot of noise. Do not just make some noise, create a lot of noise, and you do you, being your own self. One thing that I would again refer to as a resource is Gallup, so which is a strengths assessment platform. Gallup is a world known organization which talks about strengths. It has the Clifton Strengths Assessment Test, which I also did for myself, and it says you are as a person unique, so unique that you're one in 34 million. And what does that really mean? That people who have, for example, my strengths will not match in the same order as anybody else's. I am so unique that the strengths that I have will not be the same strength that anybody else has. Ensure that you utilize your strengths, be authentic in what you do, and create a lot of value, a lot of noise, and ensure that you own your narrative. I understand that we may be, do let me know if, Varsha, do we have more time? So yes, I think we'll move on to Q&A later. So there's no more time, but I loved addressing all of you. I loved the energy, and this was from my side. We can take the Q&A later, and I will move on to end the slide with a thank you, and glad that you guys were participating. One thing that I want to leave you with is this dialogue from Gully Boy. I hope everybody has seen this movie, and if you have not, you have to see this. मैं नहीं बदलेगा अपना अपना सपना अपनी सच्चाई से मैं नहीं बदलेगा अपना सपना अपनी सच्चाई से मेल खाने के वास्ते मैं अपना सच्चाई बदलेगा जो मेरे सपने से मेल खाएगा. I create my own reality, that the one that matches my dream. I want each of you to ensure that you put down in the chat box what is your reality. It could be anything. What is your current reality? It could be anything. It could be I'm enough. It could be I'm the voice in my head and I lead with awareness and clarity of my goal. It could be I'm a leader who's connected, compassionate, and lead with the heart of serving. Whatever you see your dream, pen it down as your reality right now in the chat box. That is what I want each one of you to do. And I'm glad I was a part of this. I am so glad to be a part of this community, Women Techmakers community, and being able to address you guys. I would leave you at it. I do not want to eat into the time of the next speaker. I've enjoyed my stint. And thank you so much for being such an amazing, warm, loving audience. I'll be happy to address questions later on during the Q&A. And you can also connect with me offline on my social media. I am at SOUNIYA Kurana across all platforms. Do connect. Would love to chat with you.
Thank you so much, Sonia. You brought out the importance of scripting our own story, failing gracefully, and yet rising up so beautifully. Thank you for sharing your personal stories and inspiring us. We already see a few questions from all of you in the chat. Keep them coming because we'll have Gayatri, Payal, and Sonia joining us again at about 4:30 p.m. to take all your questions. And yes, I'm excited to what's coming next. We have a panel discussion on why communities matter by our very own Women Techmakers ambassadors from around the country. This session will be moderated by my co-host, Usha Ramani. Over to you, Usha.
Hi again, everyone. Hope you're all having fun engaging with our talks and activities on this Saturday afternoon. Today's panel discussion focuses on the omnipresent question, why communities? How they are nurtured and how can we leverage them to scale new heights, personally and professionally? The women in the panel today have all been leading communities for years, and they have been instrumental in taking their chapters to the next level. Along with being great professionals, they are exceptional leaders. From being the attendees in their communities, to being team members, to volunteering, to being responsible for tasks, to owning and organizing an entire event, these women have done it all. We have with us WTM ambassadors from 5 different communities who are doing amazing work. Let's put our hands together for Dhruva Shastri from Ahmedabad, Punita Ojha from Udaipur, Annapurna Agarwal from Bhubaneswar, and Aditi Soni from Pune. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you, Usha, and hello, everyone.
Let's start with a round of introductions. Please share a little bit more about yourself. Aditi, let's start with you.
Hey Usha. So first of all, I'm really very excited to be here today to be part of this online event where we have ability to reach so many people at once than we could ever imagine. So thank you so much for having us. And talking about myself, I'm working as a software engineer at Consultat. And apart from that, I am Women Techmakers Ambassador for Pune chapter. I've been part of this awesome community for about 4 years now. And this community has given me the sense of possibility and exposure to always grow and fly higher. I got ample of opportunities to improve myself personally and professionally, and I'm one of the Google India Udacity Nano Degree scholars. And last year, Women Techmakers has granted me travel to Madrid, Spain at 5 Days Summit to be one of the potential women in tech. So I feel grateful to be part of such a community where people from different corners of the world share the same set of energy and thoughts.
That's amazing. Congratulations for your achievements. Punita, can you please share a bit about yourself?
So, hi everyone. I'm Punita from Google Developers Group Udaipur and Women Techmakers Udaipur. I'm currently working as full stack web developer at Sanskrit Corporation. I'm also passionate about machine learning and I've pursued my machine learning engineer nano degree from Udacity. I'm also passionate about meeting new people and organizing events. And I'm glad and excited to be the part of this panel discussion today.
Wonderful. Thank you. Annapurna, please share about yourself.
First of all, thanks, Usha, for having me as a part of this panel. I feel great to be among such energetic techies and participate in IWD India 2020. I'm Annapurna from Women Techmaker Bhubaneswar. Well, speaking about myself, I started my career as a software engineer, working for other people and writing codes. And along with that, I used to create online content for my passion, educational video content for various platforms like YouTube, Pact, and Vato. And eventually, after spending a couple of years with GDG community, I realized how I liked spending time connecting to people, making networks, and sharing what I know. So I switched to being a full-time content creator for the online educational platform Plural Site and building community and working for Women Tech Makers India.
Thank you, Annapurna. Over to you, Dhruva. Please share about yourself.
Firstly, there were amazing sessions so far today, and happy to see the enthusiasm of participants as well. So thank you, Usha, for inviting us for this Mega IWD India Summit 2020. Saying about me, I work as an associate executive at allevents.in. Being a people's person, I love to interact with the new people each day and know their stories. So from 2014, I have been with GDG Ahmedabad and I learned and grew with a progressive level. Since then, I am with this community for almost more than 6+ years. Being a community passionate and enthusiast about empowering women in every possible ways, I get an opportunity to work for their betterment by being an ambassador for WTM Ahmedabad and facilitator for I Am Remarkable initiative, which allows me to inspire them and provide them novel opportunities for their growth. And that way, I constantly try towards building a community that fosters women to stand out different amongst all.
Wonderful. Thank you. About me, alongside being GDG WTM ambassador from Vizag, I'm a tech entrepreneur. I'm the co-founder of a product company, Guruchada. We are into online teaching and conferencing. Going on to the next question. GDG and WTM communities are actually safe havens for women and men and others to come together to learn, share, collaborate on something they deeply care about. My question to you, Aditi, is what do you think? Why do you think communities are important? What drove you to be part of a community like this?
So I feel that not just limited to tech, but communities are valuable in any field because it is that space where like-minded individuals come together to accomplish single goal, no matter whether you are a doctor, teacher, or a developer. And the journey of achieving that goal is unique for each individual. We rise by lifting others. So if you will ask for one hand to hold, you'll have 100. And that is the power of community. This is what drove me to be in the community like this. I feel free to make mistakes. I get inspired every day from the commendable work people around me are doing. And I always have something to look up to apart from my work. It makes me feel like I'm adding something to the society in some way. And to be honest, this community has changed my life in the past 4 years from a naive college student to being here a panelist.
Wonderful, so inspiring. Punita, we want to listen from you. How has being part of a community helped you?
So yeah, if I talk about myself, it was not like day one where I realized that the communities are going to do good to me. It was only when I experienced that I realized it. So there was a youth organization in my city, ISIC, which was organizing a group discussion round. I just raised my hand up and volunteered for that group discussion round. Post that, I got selected in working with that organization. So, as an engineering college student, I also got an opportunity to go out and do client meetings, corporate appointments, and also organize business events at the same time. I worked there as marketing head for 1 year and 7 months. And post then, when I started retrospecting, I realized that I became a strong believer of the fact that amazing things can happen when like minded people come together. Just one example which I would like to share with you is it has changed me from an introvert person to an extrovert person. Today, when I go out and I say to my friends that I'm actually an introvert person, they say me, stop the white lie, Punita. So that is how it has actually happened. And post then, since that GD round, I have never looked back. I have actually explored communities into different domains and dimensions, right from participating into youth friendly organizations to social initiatives to entrepreneurship clubs to tech communities like GDGs and WTMs. I have experienced it all. I strongly endorse that communities are important in every field, be it photography, be it media industry, tech industry, or entrepreneurship, whatever it is, because it has helped me both in my personal as well as professional life. Trust me, communities have challenged me in phenomenal ways, and it has not just challenged me, but it has also provided me with the energy, enthusiasm, aura, and the solutions to overcome those challenges. It has actually helped me in setting my benchmarks a little higher.
Wonderful. So nice hearing that. Being a community leader actually opens up multiple opportunities, helps challenge us more actually. But it is these challenges and it develops a tenacity for us as well to overcome these challenges, to better ourselves. With that, actually, we will come to the next question. So, I would like to ask you, Annapurna, can you share about the challenges that you have faced in your community journey and the way that you overcome them?
Yes, this is a very interesting question I would like to answer. We are all well aware of the 9 to 5 jobs which everyone is got into, mostly everyone. On the weekend, when we get time, we usually feel like we should take rest, and it is most common with most of the people. Quite understandable, right? Now, somehow, if a few people are motivated to come to the community events to learn things, now everyone who comes to the community doesn't have a same level of understanding. We can't expect them to have same understanding of the subject. Now, I had started my career in GDG Bhubaneswar as a speaker, and soon after a couple of sessions I realized that not everyone in the audience, as I said, can be expected to have a same level of expertise in any subject, if, even though it is learning. So, because of this reason, they grew reluctant to be the part of the session the next time or the next session, as I can say. So, it is again a human nature. We don't like to be at some place where we don't feel as competent as others who are around. It takes time to get used to it and learn from people. So it takes time to get involved, and this led to the reduction in the consistency or the retention of the audience. So this was one of the biggest challenge which we had to overcome. And so, as an experiment, because I was also relatively new to the community, I started going to the audience, speaking to them personally, making a little more face to face connection so that I know them and they know me. Like we had in one of our sessions, the speaker say that everyone likes to be in the spotlight, right? So if you give them the spotlight, they feel important, they feel valued to the community. And this is how it started growing. They started coming to the regular events and participating. So this is what I think I did something on the positive part, and I feel great about it.
Wonderful. That is so inspiring. Dhruva, yours is one of the biggest communities in India. Kindly share the kind of challenges you faced and how you overcome it. Your learnings, please.
Uh, I would say a few root causes as challenges I found while doing events and networking, and as much as I got to travel in India. That due to our traditional Indian brought up, females themselves are actually satisfied with their jobs and the life they are living, or even if they are not happy with their professional career, they still continue because don't find that strong support to help them take those risks and get out of it. Also, they were afraid to stretch themselves and go that extra mile apart from the regular day job to learn something new and grab the opportunities. They had a myth that volunteering to communities would be an extra load to them. So basically, there was a lack of motivation and inspiration that I found. And to bring solution to that, I invested my time and efforts in counseling and making them understand the reality of shared collaboration to demystify their myths, and brought them to the events gradually, showed them the other female leaders climbing ladders of success by getting opportunities with real time examples like our own first WTM lead, Miss Vaibhavi Desai, and all speakers across the globe, and speakers taking sessions and engage them in confidence building activities by giving them a chance to take short talks or lightning talks. And in a way, gradually they found interest and now taking sessions and doing valuable contributions. So I would say understand and analyzing our people, inspirational talks and engaging activities, and a personalized and empathetic touch worked very well for us.
Absolutely, there is no denying that. It's a lot of hard work, but team effort makes it so much doable and fun. That is what it matters. This brings me to the next question. What makes your community different? For YZAG, it is the student demographic. We are being identified as a tech community where students from across the city and the state leverage to learn, experiment, share. It's inspiring to see professionals, freelancers, entrepreneurs joining the tribe. The energy is contagious and we are growing from strength to strength. It's actually a win-win, and our community initiated that. Aditi, I want to ask you, what is your take on that? What makes your community different?
That's a tough question, but I would like to start with giving my example. Okay, so I started my community journey as an attendee from Indore, and when I attended that first meetup, I was not really very sure where I was and what is in it for me. But I continued being part of that space, keeping all my fears and hesitations aside. And I started interacting with professionals, experts, and freelancers, and making the most out of my weekends. And that has helped me to evolve drastically during my college life. And that is benefiting even me in my professional life. So soon after that, I managed to lead the community for Indore. And initially, the struggles were really hard, but I always had people in the community to get my back. So they have never made me feel like that I don't belong there, or I am lacking something, or I'm less experienced. Even though being the youngest, my efforts, my thoughts, my inputs were always appreciated. And there was a time when I moved out of Indore for a job, and that was the point I felt like now the community stuff is over for me. I have now nothing to look up to. But I was wrong. Moving to Pune was a good decision, and Pune community has welcomed me with open arms. And being lead here, I can see those college students attending events, doing innovation, and making their contribution. So I must say I have experience for both the communities, and they both are unique in their own way, which I cannot explain.
Absolutely, so true. Once a WTM ambassador, that feeling is always there, and that ownership from the community is also there. Very nice. So, Punita, can you share your thoughts on what makes your community unique and different?
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned in my previous answer, that I was already the part of so many communities. There was always something within me somewhere that there should be something like this for technology as well. I would say it was not a dream exactly, but a fantasy kind of an idea somewhere at the back of my mind. And that's when I came across DDGs and WTMs. And I would like to mention that my first event was not a huge success. Then I went out to pitch tech communities to people in my city, and what I realized was Tech communities sounded to them more like synonyms of computer science class. And that was the point when I realized tech communities are not something that we pitch to people. It is something which people experience. So we went down and strategized our events into smaller numbers and smaller counts initially. So I remember my very first event, which I did. It was just a 21 days of campaign with about 21 girls, and we named that event as Code Chicks. We conceptualized the ideas like girls teaching girls how to code, peer programming. We connected them to industry mentors. And what we observed towards the end of the workshop were remarkable changes. Like these were students who hated computer science to them designing their very first emoji application. And it's not just that. Apart from that, we also added flavors like we gave a lot of first time speakers the opportunity to come and speak on our platform. I've seen people who are nervous 10 minutes before the talk, and right when they go on stage, it's just sometimes a 3 minutes of pep talk. That is all they need, and when they go up on the stage, they are just remarkable. The difference that they are making by imparting knowledge to our audience is something which is totally amazing. So these first time speakers later on became regular speakers for our events, and they not only helped us in delivering tech talks, but also helped us in organizing the event at a later stage. So with our community, time and over again, we have brainstormed upon the fact that how we can add more values to all the stakeholders of our community. And it's the love and support of the people of our community which is actually helping us going as well as growing.
I cannot agree more with you. It is perfect, actually. That is what makes it different. Moving on, Annapurna, what do you think it takes to lead a community? Can you share your journey on how you got here?
Yeah, sure. Now, first, there are two important things I would like to mention about what it takes to lead a community. The first being patience. Patience, because every time when we plan something, although there are numerous efforts or hand involved, not everything goes according to the plan every time. So we need to be patient. We need to be calm about how to handle those situations. Now, that is the number one quality I would say for a leader. Now, the second one is teamwork. Teamwork, because community is all about people. It is for people, it is by people, and it is from people. So, community just can't exist alone. So, it has we as our speaker said, we work with people and not with tech. So, teamwork is another important thing. Now, about my journey of getting here, I have been into GDG since 6 years. I had started as a speaker, and then I continued organizing events, volunteering for those, finding speakers, talking to the audience, and now I'm ambassador at WTM Bhubaneswar, representing and building community of women techies all around the city.
Wow. Congratulations on that. Dhruva, how did you get into leading a community? Can you share your journey?
From my experience, if I say leadership is an evolving process, we work, we make mistakes, learn from those failures, and succeed at the end. And first, it definitely requires constant passion, and dedication to run a community. So, few of the traits that have helped me to lead community better is to be authentic, deep listening, showing appreciation, sharing power, and creating leaders, and lead by example. And last but very important is to be empathetic, to understand and validate different viewpoints and the feelings of our community members to serve them better as per their expectations. Now, talking about my journey, it started with GDG Ahmedabad by attending DevFest 2013, and later on I started volunteering from IWD Celebration 2014. And looking at my dedication and contributions towards the community, I then got promoted as WTM lead, which refers to WTM ambassador now. During my journey with communities, I have been fortunate to forward the help by giving talks or helping other communities by sharing my learnings with them or spreading awareness about the novel opportunities from across the globe. Saying about mine, I became a facilitator for I'm Remarkable initiative introduced last year, which is a personality branding workshop. And after conducting those workshops, it's so happy to see that attendees from that have become facilitators and conducting to their own workshops. So those are the satisfactory outputs that we can generate by leading as an example. Likewise, if I talk about women take makers, it gives excellent opportunities to flourish by providing scholarships, travel grants, as Aditi mentioned, access to courses, and lot more. And community provides a safe place to talk about our concerns, networking with like-minded people, access to experts, and platform to break our barriers of public speaking. So it's the power of community that has made me stand where I am today and have given the blessings to be a part of one's success by my 2 cents of contribution.
Absolutely. There is a lot of hard work there. And those are exactly the characteristics needed by a true leader. We must all have received some advice that helped us in our personal, professional life immensely. For me, it was from my mentor who said, stand up for yourself, no passing the buck, own up and take charge. Just like Sonia had said previously, I can choose to write my story. So, moving on to the next question, Annapurna, can you please give some advice that you received which helped you immensely?
Yes, sure. My mentor always says this that if you enjoy your work, you're going to you're going to go high. Focus on your work, success, fame, money, all this will follow eventually. So what we need to focus on is the work and the byproducts will come by itself. Well, since the day I have started implementing it, it does what it says and I work with a happy mind, not being bothered about anything else.
Wonderful. Punita, what has been the advice that impacted your journey?
So, if I talk about best advice, I received it while working with my first boss, who is also a mentor to me. He asked me to keep an idea book with me always, to go out in my surroundings and figure out the problems, whatever I see, and also write all the possible solutions of those problems into that idea book. He basically asked me to write all the good, bad, and the crazy ideas into that idea book. And once I'm done with that, I can start prioritizing upon those ideas and not just limited to that. I need to prepare action items upon the prioritized ideas. And then I need to add those action items into the Google Calendar. So on a Sunday morning or maybe sometime around the weekend, my Google Calendar prompts me, hey Punita, what do you think? How well prepared are we to launch our stage one of a new project? Something like that. So it has actually helped me in keeping the procrastination away and also execute my ideas at that point of time. So I would suggest everyone to have those two tools. One is idea book and two is Google Calendars.
Those are fantastic tips. Girls, I would suggest look at the problems around you and figure out how to solve them with tech, without tech. These tips are for you. Coming on to the next question, the theme of IWD this year is Together We Rise. And it has never been a better time for this than now. It is teamwork and lifting each other up that helps us rise together. I would like to ask Dhruva, how do you think we can all be stakeholders in each other's successes?
As one quote says, travel is good for soul and experiences are necessary for growth. Now, online is the new era. Either we can travel or not. So we are not bounded by geographical boundaries to grab the opportunities and grow. Networking and collaboration have been easier, through which we can get to know the hurdles that other people in the world are facing, and we can share our learnings and experiences and vice versa. It creates that inclusive environment for everyone to share ideas fearlessly, which opens the door for innovations too. So it's a pleasure actually to be in a global communities like Women Take Makers or Sisters communities, etc., that we get a chance to map the skill sets of community members to opportunities across the globe. And that's why we are able to forward the help we received and being stakeholders for one another's achievements.
Can't agree more. Cliché as it sounds, if we lift each other as we climb, it is only then that we can all rise together. So, Aditi, how can we help each other rise together? What's your take on this?
So I must say I have very similar take, just like Dhruva, but let me put it this way. So when community comes to my mind, global community specifically, one thing which comes to my mind is diversity. So diversity helps us recognize and respect ways of being that not necessarily your own. We in this global community may have different cultures, languages, and countries, but one thing which binds us together is our common struggles and hardships. So this community acts as a bridge to fill in the gaps between us and bring different things to the table. A safe space to express, speak, and support. So I would like to conclude it like this. If you have two hands, one, you should help yourself, and with one, you should always help others. And pass on the best of what you have received to be a stakeholders in each other's success.
So true. And that is the exact spirit of WTM throughout the country and the world. Coming to the last question, as community leaders, what is the one advice or tip you want to leave our audience with today? I would like to ask Dhruva first. Yeah.
So I would say either it's a personal growth or a professional or a community contribution. When you don't know how to do a task, say yes to it, learn that thing, and make it happen. It means that learn to take those risks. It will either be learning or a success or both.
Absolutely. Aditi, please share that one advice that you would give to people listening to this discussion today.
So I think the only limit we have is our imagination. So you are always bigger than what you have set for yourself. So don't be afraid to explore, innovate, and broaden your horizons. Because like if you do something today that your future self will be thank you for.
Absolutely. Annapurna, what do you have to leave us with?
Before I share mine, I would like to give 100 points to Dhruva and another 100 to Aditi. I totally agree with them. Now, what I would like to say is it is very important that we value ourselves. Now, we have worked, each one of us has worked very far to reach wherever we are. Let's say, for example, if we are able to do something, any task, maybe a debugging or anything at all, if we are able to achieve it in 2 minutes right now, it has taken us maybe a couple of years to reach where we are, to be able to do that by practicing, by exploring. So you have worked a lot on yourself, so never look down upon yourself. That's all I would like to say.
Wonderful. Punita, please share your advice to people listening.
So while I agree with all of the above, I would like to add that keep celebrating yourself constantly at your workplace. Whatever you do with lot of love and passion. And no matter how many hardships and challenges you encounter in the process, it's very important to keep that craze alive. Thank you.
True that. Stand up for yourself because if you don't, nobody will.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Yes. I would like to chip in too, my two bits. So I would like to say to everyone actually, we should all strive to be the sought, not the seeker. Let's make a niche, a mark for ourselves, and jobs, opportunities, they'll come seeking for us. But let us try to make that niche and put all our energies to create that wonderful masterpiece. With this, ladies, we bring this discussion to an end. Thank you for sharing your stories with us. To all the attendees out there, we hope this discussion piqued your interest and inspired you to not only participate, but also take the lead in the growth story of your communities. Over to you, Lakshya.
Thank you to all the panelists. I think your passion and your motivation towards community came across so profoundly in that panel, and I'm super happy to be working with all of you. To our audience, please fill in the feedback form at goo.gle/IWD feedback, IWD-feedback. That's there on your screen as well. And we will be sharing participation certificates with all of you by the 10th of June. We now move on to an interesting Ask Me Anything or a typical question and answer session with our speakers. So it's my pleasure to welcome Gayatri, Payal, and Sonia to join me. Great. So to all the speakers, we've had a lot of love for all of you being showered through our chats, and we have curated a few questions that our audience would love to hear you answer them. So our first question is for Gayatri. The question says, "I'm feeling less confident after joining my first job. Since all my team members are more skilled than me, I feel as if I don't have a voice during the discussion of ideas. Can you give me some suggestions to overcome?"
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think whoever asked this question, I think this is your first job. So first of all, be very kind on yourself, and second of all, congratulations on joining the workforce. It's very natural to feel underconfident. I joined my current job 2 years ago, and I felt underconfident for the first 6 months. So it's extremely normal to feel underconfident because you are in a new environment. You are not in a comfortable environment. So that's absolutely normal. So first accept that. And the second one is, yes, the people who are around you understand the vernacular. So they speak the same language. They understand the process. They understand the process of creating, and the overall. They have creative differences, and they have the craft. So how do you become with your voice? How do you start? Is you start from the place of your craft. Focus on building that, because the first thing is, what value do you bring to the table is directly proportional to the voice that you can have at the table. So if you need a voice, you need a craft, and so focus on your craft, absorb what everybody is telling you, and introspect and work hard to build that credibility to question those ideas. That way you start to contribute, and that once you start contributing, that becomes essentially an enabler for you to become more confident. But do not start from a place of do I fit here, or do I even need to be here? They hired you, so they obviously saw that you are valuable. So you need to first make that baseline clear, that you deserve to be there. Now you need to start to figure out, how do you become more valuable, and then your voice can be there.
Thank you, Gayatri. The next question we have is for Payal. Payal, we are asked, what if I know that an idea is good, but my superiors don't approve of it? How to take charge in that case, and how to convince them yet not upset them?
That's a truly wonderful question, and thank you so much for sending that across my way. In fact, this question, whoever has asked it, it actually reminds me of years back. I think it was the year of 2000 or something, when I had joined the workforce in corporate America, and everything was great about my job except my boss. So everything that I learned there on really helped me. When you have good ideas, when you have something that you are great at, and your superiors, your boss really don't approve of it, stop taking that easy way out, of jumping jobs and changing bosses and everything. In fact, just like I said in my talk, that it's really all about your leadership and your leadership mindset. So, in fact, there are five ways that you can build that rapport with your boss. You can build that connection and move ahead. Number one is find ways to connect and build a rapport with your boss, because many a times when we don't have that connection, we are only communicating with them, we don't have that connection. That's where I feel that the lag comes. So find ways to connect with them, find ways to work more better with them. Number two, I would say, develop your influence. This is something I have been talking to people for years together, that leadership is nothing but it's your influence. How much can you influence people around you is very, very important. Number three, I would say, is avoid landmines. When I say avoid landmines, what I mean is be very strategic in your approach, be smart in your game. Don't let the environment and people's talk or take you out of your ideas and get you upset, and don't get into all that nitty gritty with the stuff and with your environment and everything. And number four, I would say, develop yourself every single day. It is one of the most imperative thing, because you have this boss today, you have another superior tomorrow. So develop yourself, work on yourself, so that you can grow more. And the last one that can really, really break that barrier and can help you to connect with your superior, can help you to share your ideas and for them to approve those ideas, is for you to ask questions. The more you ask questions, the more you get to know why they are saying, why is that, why are they hesitant? Why are they not approving your idea? Why are they, what's lacking? And you'll get to know so much stuff that you would realize maybe there is something missing, and you just put that missing puzzle, and you're on your way. So I think we all have superiors and bosses where we feel that they are not supporting us, but finally it's up to us to take charge of not convincing them, but of connecting and being that leader wherever we are and whatever position we are. I really hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much, Payal. That was so beautifully put. Our next question is for Sonia. The question goes like this. When I have an idea but not much knowledge to implement that, and the other team members ignore my ideas, how to convince them about my ideas and not feel ignored? I think there's a similar theme coming from most of our audience. So yeah, Sonia, I'll let you answer this.
Yeah, so I will break this question into three parts. Whoever's addressed that, who was asked this question. The first thing, that because you feel that you do not have enough knowledge, so your team members are ignoring you and not treating you well enough. Now, enoughness has to do a lot with what you feel. It is about you and your attitude and your consistency in ensuring that. So, what happens when I'm certain about something? My attitude will be uplifting, will be empowering, will be confident. But when I feel that I'm uncertain, my attitude will be soft, my body language will be slouchy, I will not be connecting with people outward in a confident manner. Because you feel that you do not have enough knowledge, the first thing that you can do is, of course, ensure you gather more knowledge. Apart from ensuring that you do your own research, how can you build a relationship with your team? What is visible is that you also right now do not have a camaraderie with your team. So when you're comrades, when we're not just people working in a team or just as people connected because of our professional strings or the workspace we are in, when we have a camaraderie, we work like comrades, we uplift each other. So you ask them questions, make them feel that you already feel that they know better. So why don't you ask them questions? Go to them, make them your go to person, ask them questions, take ownership that I feel that I want to contribute by doing so and so. This is what I feel we can do, but I need more ideas, more information. Could you help me with them? Could you help me with it? Make somebody in your team a mentor who's experienced a little more, who can guide you better. That way you also build a relationship with them. Tell them that you also build trust. You also position them better that yes, this person is giving me enough respect and is seeking information. I would love to help. And talk well about your team. Ensure first things first is, yes, of course, build a relationship, build that camaraderie, take ownership, research more, get more knowledge, feel more confident, bring an attitude of certainty that even if you do not know certain things, it's all right. Nobody knows everything. Not even me, nobody else, nobody in the world knows everything. We all need people by our side. We need people who are complementing our skill sets. So it's all right if you don't have enough knowledge. You will gather it with experience. So gather it, make more friends in the team, create that relationship, build that confidence in your body language, create that consistency and certainty, and ensure you have that right attitude. And do not and keep yourself away from the thought that you're feeling ignored. Nobody's ignoring you. It's us. When we feel that I am not good enough, we start feeling that I'm being ignored or people are talking behind my back and so many other things. The conspiracy theories start popping in when we do not function from our own enoughness. So that's my answer. I'll be happy to take this offline also. If you need more guidance, more suggestions, happy to take it up. But yeah, that's from my side.
Thank you, Sonia.
And I hope I addressed it.
Yes, I think though the questions and the theme was so similar, I really loved how each of you gave your own perspective and added value to each other's answers. So thank you all for that. So next up, we're going to do it slightly differently now. We have a question and we leave it to you upon who wants to answer this. The question goes is this: how to keep yourself constantly motivated?
I can go.
Sure.
You okay? Yeah. So I think it works if it's yourself as in myself. I'm just curious and I get bored very easily. So if I try new things, I get motivated. And validation works, right? Essentially, I also seek validation from people whom I admire and whom I treat as mentors. So when I get a pat on the back, that's motivating. I love that. When I'm able to learn something new, that is motivating. So I love that. So just as you asked, this is how do I keep myself motivated? This is how I keep myself motivated, which essentially means this has also not been constant. So at different stages in my life, different things were more important. So as in an earlier career, it was all about the validation and acceptance and growth. And slightly later was all about validations continues to stay, but then you start to see how little you know. So the knowing and the learning becomes its own motivation, and that journey continues. So just as in your own journey, you will realize that what continues to motivate you might change, but it's essentially the hunger that you want to make an impact and bring value. Because trust me, it's not fun to, I would rather sit on a beach and have fun, but I don't do that. I sit 10 hours, 12 hours a day and take time out of my family and work. So there must be something crazy enough inside to want to bring impact. So I think that's the fundamental motivation, but everything else is an enabler of that motivation. So you will find yours and don't expect it to stay constant. And it's okay to say that I did this because my mom said you did a great job. That's also okay. So whatever works for you is the motivation.
Absolutely. Can't be enough, actually. So true. So, I want to ask another question in similar lines. Any of you can please take it up. How to come out of your comfort zone and be successful?
I can take that up, Lakshya.
Sure.
So, because I love that question, and I had spoken about it during the talk also, that it's all about the, how we shape up our own comfort zone. What works best is, if you have a goal, a clear vision. And for years together, I have been coaching people on creating their vision, on knowing their purpose, and on being very, very clear about the goal. Because this is one place where I have found that, in these 21 years of working with people, uh, the one thing that really helps you to come out of your comfort zone, of moving yourself ahead, of separating yourself from the average and becoming exceptional, is the fundamental of having a very clear goal, a purpose, a blueprint ready for yourself. And in that aspect, I would say, when you know where, in which direction you are heading to, it becomes a pulling factor. You're not going to be motivated from the outside environment as much as you're going to be inspired from within to pull yourself. It's not going to be a push, rather it's going to be a pull that keeps you going on every day. It just does not let you stay stagnant and doesn't get you stuck in the rut. So I think just having that clear vision, having that goal, knowing how to frame a goal, it's so imperative.
Thank you, Payal. I think the next question I have is we'll have Sonia take it up, and I don't have this in slide, but it's how to deal with sexism at the workplace. Sonia, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Okay. So honestly, I as a person have been very vocal about what I feel, what my opinions are. Whenever I feel that there is an indication or there is a slight, honestly, being an entrepreneur and also being somebody who's strong-headed, it comes to me naturally to address things, but it may not be the same for everybody. It is a tough question for me to answer because I've always been very vocal about things. In fact, in my second job, when things went down south, I did take a stand because the person I was reporting to, who also was incidentally the CEO, uh, I just took the stand. That person was out of integrity. He asked me to leave the same day, and I took it up because I took a stand. And talking about sexism, uh, um, I haven't faced it, so I'm probably not the best person to be able to address it. But yes, all I tell people is that be vocal, and be strong-headed. Be a person who can take a stand. Do not be submissive. It can be tough. It can be a long journey, but it would make you feel that yes, you had your voice. You took a stand. You were not just letting go because people wanted it to be that way. Um, and again, I may not be the best person to address this because it's not something that I've experienced enough. So I would rather request somebody else in the panel to also take it up so that it is addressed better for all the members.
Sure.
Yeah, I can try. Honestly, again, I think I don't know whether we do have that. There is a subtle differentiation at times. Especially, I've been in tech. I've been in tech all my life, and I would definitely see, there are two ways, right? You can look at it two ways. Skill and tech, and being in tech is gender agnostic. But then there is a majority, and we need to acknowledge the majority. The majority of the workforce is men. And one of the things is how do you work with the majority, and how do you not get let that get in your way. So that has been definitely a challenge all through. And the only way to essentially go past that is in the initial years, I just don't, I don't acknowledge it at all. Meaning that you are as equal to the person that you're working with, and therefore talent is agnostic of gender. So if I'm better than you, I'm better than you. So I think that's how my approach has been. As I've gone through the years, I have noticed that you can also get this can also get to the other end, right? So there is a lot of diversity, and diversity sometimes can work against you. And you can say, oh, you are a diversity hire, for example. I have been asked that. And I've been asked that, I get asked that even today. Sometimes headhunters approach you and they say, there's an awesome opportunity. I loved your profile on LinkedIn, and this is for a diversity role. I'm like, don't say that, because that's not the compliment you think it is. So if I'm answering from that perspective, that this is still, there is a shadow to diversity and wanting to have that diverse culture that can also affect women. So I am aware of it, and I vocally sort of say that don't do it. It doesn't help anybody's cause. But from a general approach, I think you need to let your talent speak. If you feel there is an inappropriate behavior or a comment, you need to raise your voice and say it. I have, thankfully, I have not had any of these. I have had wonderful colleagues. I've had wonderful male colleagues, and colleagues in general through my career. Maybe because of how the vibe I've given, it's never affected me. But I have never noticed that. But I do know that it exists. And the only way to overcome that is by talking openly about it and saying that if something is not appropriate, just don't do it. And again, finally, it's up to you how you want to feel. So don't be insulted. I think you need to essentially take it up as I am here, whether I'm a diversity hire or not. I'm here, and I can add better value or not is what will determine my worth, not anything else. So I think that's how I will answer.
I'll just add to, since Gayatri just pointed out something that kind of just triggered a memory. There's so many times that, especially being an entrepreneur and of course, being somebody who connects so much with people, at times that a lot of men do end up sending messages in a way that, oh, you're an entrepreneur, good to see that, that's admiring, and you're smart and whatever. They add other adjectives. And the one thing that I always address back whenever there is a certain sexist tonality or there are adjectives which actually objectify, I ask them, would you do the same to any other man you admire in business? Would you do that to anybody else who's of the other gender? So that is something I think what also what it reminds me of is that because our conditioning has been such, the way that men think, and that even women for that matter, the way we think, the fact that patriarchy and so many other things are so fine tuned, and we've been so conditioned with all these things that it is at times tough to really identify these patterns. But if you're aware that somebody is addressing you in a manner which is not appropriate, I feel that it is important to at the same time nip it in the bud, address it right there and then, and make them aware that what they're saying or what they're mentioning or the way they're addressing you is not appropriate. And this must not continue, because unless we nip it in the bud, it will continue to manifest. So yeah, I think that is something that I've learned and did it on my own without having been told to do so. So that's only one thing that I got reminded of when Gayatri shared her part. So yeah, that's what I felt I should address and share.
Sure, Sonia. Thank you so much. To all the speakers. I think you've done a world of good with your sessions, with your answers, with your stories. Thank you so much. We were like so delighted to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
To all.
Thank you.
So to all our audience out there, final reminders: please fill the feedback form at the link that you see on the screen, and we will ensure to share your participation certificates with you by the 10th of June. Thank you all so much for your presence. I know we've had folks joining from all over the world, and we are really excited to and look forward to seeing you tomorrow for our machine learning and cloud track. I'm sure we'll hear some amazing women in tech sharing their technical expertise with all of us. So see you around at 2 p.m. tomorrow, India Standard Time, and hope you have a great evening. Here's me, Lakshya, and Usha signing off.